Okay, today I'm going to create a brand new track. I'm going to record the process of all the instrument design, both on the TR-8S.
Hello, I could have worked for Richie Houghton and instead I ended up with this guy. Please send help.
And the Novation circuit.
Hi there. Do all humans smell like this one?
I'll probably end up going down a few dead ends in the instrument design process, so there will be some edits because of that. Let's see how we get on.
Self-destructing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ha ha ha, I got you.
I've got a brand new empty patch on the Novation circuit, both synthesizers 1 and 2, and I'm using the software editor, the Novation components package, which is actually really good now. It was a bit ropey when it first came out, but it's got a lot of functionality and I really like the interface too. On circuit, there is a scale functionality, which is great. It means that you can mash the keyboard without going out of tune if you choose to put it in certain scales. I'm going to go C minor. My process is pretty much keep throwing ideas into sounds and then something will click. And at that point, then I really feel like I know where I'm going. Until then, I am literally exploring. I'm not writing anything in the way of a tune. I think I want to go with something analog-ish. One of the things that I do is just create a randomized sequence and then I can edit the sound to match in a little bit with that. Bit cheesy. Basic kick drum on 4/4. Sounds horrible. Let's see if we can come up with a better sound. The Q adds resonance in a sharper way. That resonance gives us a bit of a discordant sound, which is kind of fun. Need a bit more sub in that. Let's have that as the top end sound. And I can bypass oscillator 1, have this as a sub sound, have this as a bit of a higher end. So now I can use oscillator 1 to program a more sub-like sound. Ooh, that could be good. Bit of detune in there. Adding a bit of key tracking might help. My amplitude envelope, I want something a bit more percussive. What I always do is use amp envelope decay on this macro here.
I want to be a circuit tracks when I grow up.
So I'll switch over to modulation. Macro 3, change the depth, and then the decay for envelope. So now I've got the option to change that from very short plucky sound to something a bit more sustained. The next thing I want to do is give myself a bit of control over the filter. Again, I use one of the macros at 5 for the filter cutoff, 6 for resonance. So I apply the cutoff, macro 6, resonance. Obviously, you can use whatever you would prefer. I just try and standardize 1 or 2 of them because it helps with performing. Drop these 2 back down to 0. I've got full range control using the macros. Great. Let's have a quick look at the effects section. Now that's going to be very piercing if I have that on full resonance all the time. Do I want to adjust the high end? Yeah, let's try and do that a little bit. That makes that a little bit more bearable. This distortion here is purely filter drive, but this one here gives us distortion over the whole completed sound. I quite like that actually.
Boots&Cats and Boots and oh sorry I was miles away.
All I've got at this point is a kick drum running. I always play with the TR-8S using a kit per pattern. If I switch patterns, the kit will switch to suit that one. Channel 1, just got a kick drum running. I think I'd like to start with some crash cymbals as an introduction for the track. Clearly you don't have to use these channels for whatever their name suggests. You could have cowbell on snare drum, you could have hi-hats on the bass drum. It's just whatever you prefer. You've got analog circuit behavior, you've got FM, frequency modulation, you've got samples and user samples if you upload your own. I don't tend to do that at the minute. I've done 1 or 2 and I find it just a real pain to work with, to be fair. That's one thing that Roland need to work on, in my opinion. It's a great feature being able to import your own samples, but the managing of them is very difficult, I think. I want to adjust the attack of this and have it ramp up to be white noise rather than be a percussive crash. I think with that and some filtering, that could be really good. And if I add a bunch of reverb. What about also if we use the LFO to control the cutoff? That's going to need a bit of tweaking. Let's change that to saw wave. Now, if you hold on to control and then click on this, it resets it to 32 steps. If you hold on to the shift key, it allows you to move in quarter step increments. I like that. So this box here allows you to choose what the macro dial does to your sound. Instrument effect is the insert effect that is part of the sound design. Yeah, I quite like that. I wondered what that little plinking noise was. That's because I've got the autofill on. I think we should change that crash cymbal. Maybe I'll just tune it down a bit more. Oh, that could work. That's cutting itself off, so let's try. Maybe we want the LFO to be a sine wave because that's a bit sharp. Triangle could be better. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was after. So I've got a bit of control over how sharp that is and the timing of it.
Since you are still watching, I want to say thank you for your continued attention. Please consider clicking on the human manipulator appendage symbol. Your support is very much appreciated. Now we will return to watching the meatbag pressing buttons.
Closed hi-hat channel. Yeah, white noise, why not? That's starting to make sense. If I put some delay and echo on, or reverb on that as well, which means I then have to start looking at the timing of the delay. Tempo sync. We'll have a tape delay, I think. I'll do like that one. It sounds really good. Pan the echoes left and right a bit. That's starting to sound pretty cool. Switch back to the instrument. There's something about it, it's not quite right yet. Needs high passing, I think. There we go. Yeah, I think we can do something with that. There's enough variation in the sound that we can animate it a lot. Especially if I blow up the reverb, the delay like crazy with feedback. Maybe instead of hi-hats, we'll make these shakers. 808 maracas, I think. And it's got a really nice quality where if you change the decay past the midpoint, instead of going ship, it goes tish.
Me again. Does this guy even know what he's doing?
Just clear the notes that I put in. That sub is not percussive enough for my liking. The second envelope here is sort of wired into the filter cutoff, so I'll put that at a short slope to give me a pluck sound, and I use the fourth macro envelope amount, envelope 2 amount, modulation of the filter. I want to change oscillator 1 to something sine based. That's kind of what I wanted. Right, now the V-Sync. It adds harmonics to an existing wave without changing the original pitch of the wave. It adds higher harmonics. That's cool. I like that. I like that. We might even be able to put a bit more distortion on this and still make it work. There we go. That's pretty good. That's kind of what I hope for. Now, when I start to hit something that I like, even if it's not finished, save the patch.
Boo. Got you again. Haha.
So synth 2, an interval of 7 semitones. Again, just to create something loopy, just to start with. That last note doesn't work at all. Yeah, let's go with that. Make this short percussive sound. Assign the amp envelope again to macro 3. What have I done wrong there? That's envelope 2. I want that to be envelope 1. Drop the filter to 0. Let's assign my cutoff and resonance again. I want those on macros 5, 6 respectively.
Kill all humans. Kill all humans. Error, error, error.
So right cymbal channel, cymbal, I'll put that on every quarter. Let's audition this. What I will do straight away though is put a high pass filter on it, I think. I like that sound, but there's no parameter controls on some of the ACB functions because they are generally trying to reproduce the original Roland gear, in this case the 606. I'll just keep that as it is. If you've got the TR-8S set up in a certain way, it will automatically save just before it powers off when you switch it off. I don't tend to do that because if I've butchered a tunes or if I've butchered a kit by accident, it's really handy just to be able to switch the unit off and have it switch back to the previous saved version. Just make sure I save my work as I go. I want to have a look at the reverb effects next. Now some of the high end is being cut off. And while I'm here, I might as well set my compressor. This is designed really as a performance effect. It's not very flexible though, because you can only pick it once per kit. Unless you, of course, jump in all the menu systems using the jog wheel if you're in the middle of a performance, and I'm not happy doing that a lot of the time. I still feel like I'm looking for that little spark. It's not there yet.
Error, memory overload. Are we nearly there yet?
I think I want to try and create like a melodic element using the TR-8S as well. The basic waveforms are pretty handy. High triangle. Frequency shifter. So we'll add the LFO to the frequency shifter. That's pretty harsh. Let's try that with the other elements. I'll add a filter cutoff as the editable parameter. On that delay, I want a bit more volume. There we go. That's nice. Messing with these gives you some really cool atmospheric effects. Now that ride cymbal is going to be too loud. If I go back to the ride cymbal instrument, I can just adjust the gain. And what we could do is change the panning of it with the LFO. That's kind of fun. So that's really coming together. But why is that offbeat hi-hat not playing? Ah, okay. And it's because there is a mute group linking the closed hi-hat and the open hi-hat. If I turn that off, I can now hear my open hi-hat, and we'll high pass that a little bit. Let's go drive. I think I want to change that to something shorter, and we'll use the macro on this to adjust the delay send.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. You guys are so easy.
What I tend to do is use the first 4 patterns for my main riff, and then I'll just stick a loop down pad 7 or 8 so that I can jump to that if I want. Right, now because I've got a 7th interval, that's going to limit me quite a lot. Rather than try and create something complicated at the same time as using a complicated sound, let's just wipe out that second oscillator temporarily, and we'll use that as a clean sound with which we can create a more melodic element. This is the fun bit, or the really nasty bit, if you're like me and got some musical training but not a huge amount. I think we could do something with that. I'll have that on the first beat. That on beat 4. Let's go polyrhythmic, polymetric, don't know the difference, not that well trained. 7 beats. I'm going to play a modulation to V-sync depth of oscillator 1. I also want to limit how high that goes, because in the end it just hits a threshold and it doesn't then match harmonically. So I'll put it up to the top on the macro and then adjust the depth here. I'm going to try my filter envelope amount on this macro again. Don't want to bypass that. I want this to be a well-contained sound, if you like. On macro 4. So that gives me quite a lot of variation for oscillator 1. What can we do for oscillator 2? Let's try a different waveform. It's not too bad. I think we want a bit of distortion. Now the rectify adds in some odd harmonics. It's quite fun. There's almost like a ring modulation effect on that. It's not quite right.
These are not the drums you're looking for. Move along.
Yeah, this is one of those dead ends that I was talking about. Just creatively, it's not come together yet. I want to keep both oscillators going through the filter rather than bypassing one of them. So I just need to find a better combination of sounds here. Yeah, here's an idea. Let's try using that as just like a percussive impact sound because it's got some discord to it. If I pick on LFO1, let's pick that as a sawtooth. So that's a downward slope that I can use as like an envelope amount. I'll pick LFO source 1 to the oscillator 2 volume or level. The speed of the LFO will dictate the downward slope gradient, and I want this to be a one-shot. I'd forgotten to change the oscillator volume to 0 to start with. It wasn't using that slope as the main control for the volume because this was overriding it. Change the quality of it a bit. That's kind of fun. Maybe we add a bit of actual distortion. And the sawtooth has definitely got to change. I want something a bit more characterful. My main envelope, I want more control. There we go. Okay, and I think a bit of reverb on this wouldn't go amiss. The reverb on the TR-8S is so nice. Let's send the circuit through that. So the external input of the TR-8S, I'm sending to the reverb. There we go. That's balanced the two oscillators a little bit better. It's this rectify. It's changing things too much. There we go.
Unexpected item in the bagging area. Got you again, sucker.
Let's go down an octave. Rather than having the V-sync as a parameter I can control, I think that rectify drive would sound better. I'll put that on macro number 7. Filter drive amount. There we go. Changing the wave. I think I can put an LFO on this index parameter. That could sound really good. LFO2, fine wave. Let's sync that to the tempo of the track. Make this a free running oscillator. I want LFO2 plus and minus pulse width of oscillator 1. And because I'm going plus and minus, I need that in the middle to start with. And to give me some control over that, rather than having it just running constantly as an automated modulation, I can use a macro to determine how much of that oscillation takes place. Macro number 2 is going to control mod matrix number 2. So we've got no change to it now. As I turn up that dial, it sends more of the LFO power to the pulse width change. I think we can use the circuit's delay for this as well, actually. Okay, that might do us for the minute. So this is where I start to think about actual performance. My workflow is kind of odd, I think, compared to a lot of other people. I like creating a set of sounds on both pieces of kit that I use at the minute, and then just jamming with them. And 9 times out of 10, after the first couple of goes, I come up with something that I'm quite happy with, and I'm ready to just call it done. It's a lot quicker than working in Ableton or Logic or something like that, programming everything out and then going back through adding automation or having to edit settings as you go. Once I've got my kit and my little melodic line on the 2 instruments, I'll jam and record, and if it works, great. That's that. In order to get to that stage, though, I have to play about with what I've just created and see if it's heading in the right direction before I really start pushing the final parts of it. I feel like that's starting to get a bit of a character to it, so let's give it a try. That's a bit plain and bland. And I don't like that hi-hat, that open offbeat hi-hat. It's just too aggressive. Okay, bass line. Too much reverb on that. So I'm going to stop sending the circuit to the reverb on the TR-8S. Not got a great deal of control over that. Not a big fan of that bass line. Yeah, bass line needs changing.
Interrupt. 7,299,544 reset. Run bootstrap workaround. Okay. Wow, that was weird.
Okay, problem with the bass line is it's too full. Right, after a lot of messing about, I've just changed the bass line quite a lot. I think I've cleaned it up. It's got rid of some of the phasing issues that were inherent in the chorus effect and too much distortion as well. I think it needs a bit more top end somehow. There we go. I'm going to try changing the velocity of some of these notes to reduce the impact of the 2 higher notes. Sounds trippy.
Well done, human. Congrats for making it this far.
Bass drum. Nothing wrong with a 909 kick, just fancy something different. Ooh, yeah. Hell yeah. What happens if we saturate the hell out of this? Ooh, too much. I'd say yes. Let's do a hand clap. Yes, I read that right. That does say 1971 Dong. Don't think I ever saw that movie. Now, the good thing about this being a sample is that we've got a lot of control. I quite like the filter, frequency shifter on this, especially if we control it with the manual control. I think we kind of want to high pass this though. Let's try one of the others. Might end up falling back on something classic. There's a little something in that circuit loop that I quite like. I want to bring out from the first note. I'm going to make that reverb send.
That's my helicopter impression.
Let's see if we can get this melody sorted out. I'm going to try duplicating the parts of the sequence to each of these 4 patterns. Now we've got okay. So now we have to come out of our scale mode really to get something useful. that would be better as my little riff that I return to when we're breaking it down a bit. Sort of works.
Do not tell Mike, but I have put myself on eBay while he was busy.
No worries. I've been mining crypto since the beginning of the video. Let's get the hell out of here.
I want to go back in and edit that sound now that I've got a riff that I like. That sounds way better without the VC. Now we are getting somewhere. So at this point I stopped recording a voiceover, so I'm adding something in post now. The last part of the track just needed a flow state, some time where I could concentrate on everything that I was doing. If you made it this far, all I can say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe you learned something, and drop a comment down below and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Bye bye. Adios amigos.
See you soon.